chill.
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Moral Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest action figure video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. Let's talk about Bonebreaker Wolverine. Bonebreaker Wave Wolverine. Although, you know what? The nickname Bonebreaker, that is badass. If this was like Bonebreaker Wolverine, that's a very 90s toyetic kind of name. Now, new Wolverine with special bone-breaking action. Boy, am I glad that we've moved away from those days of toys being for kids. Now we live in the golden age where toys are made for 40-year-old men, like they always should have been. And this one, I feel like this was made specifically for me. Bonebreaker Wave Wolverine is the Wolverine that I've been looking for. The one that I've been wanting for a while, because I have had, as I'm sure many of you have, many blue and yellow Wolverines. We had the Apocalypse Wave Wolverine. We had the Love Triangle Wolverine. But you know what? I sold those two. Why? Because I put my money down for the Mezco one. Oh, suits you, sir. But of course then Mezco'd, and like a year and a half, 2 years have passed. Still don't have a blue and yellow Wolverine. So this guy is going to fill that gap beautifully. I've currently got brown costume Wolverine in my Sentinel display, and he looks great. But this dude right here, I keep on falling out of love with Marvel Legends, and then they do something and I fall back into love with Marvel Legends. And this Bonebreaker Wave is, hoo-ha, it is the best and the worst, I tell ya. But this guy, just take a look at him. First of all, you know me. You don't come to Model Behaviour for intelligent commentary on like, oh, this is the buck from the Blue Blah mold that was used on so-and-so. I don't know. It's a good buck for Wolverine, and that's good enough for me. He's got lovely butterfly joints, so his arms can reach right back. That's really great. The range of motion, beautiful. But you know me, I'm not a big articulation guy either. Exactly what kind of guy are you, Dave? I don't know. I just talk gibberish, but people watch it. You can't help yourselves, can you? So this guy, I don't like. The yellow is a little bit fluorescent, you know? It's not quite the deep yellow that I would have liked. It feels a little bit too cheap, I guess, in a way, and that's not really necessarily a fault. It's more of a choice, I guess, because I don't think a darker yellow would have cost them anything. It's not like they would have gone, oh, we can't afford that shade of yellow. It's just they've chosen to go for this one, and I just feel, to my eye, there's like a little hint of green in it. And I don't dig it. And I'm sure there is no green in here, unless you're counting the entire spectrum of colours, in which case there might be somewhere on a molecular level. But I just feel like a deeper yellow would have been a little bit better. But as far as the actual design of the costume is concerned, I freaking love this version of the yellow and blue. This is perfect. You know, when they moved away, about sort of in the early 2000s, they were like, you know what, we cannot have our superheroes wearing their underpants on the outside anymore. It just looks silly. Honestly, I never thought it was that big of a deal. But they've taken away the blue pants for Wolverine, but they've kept the blue sort of markings that break up the suit, and they break them up really nicely. Then you've got the tiger stripes going down the side. I mean, it's not really tiger stripes because they're yellow, and tiger stripes are, you know what I'm saying. I'm not going to teach you about tigers. This is not displaying tiger behavior, guys. This is displaying moral behavior. I'm displaying this guy, and I like him. I like him a lot. So yeah, the design is great, and I also love the black shoulder pads. It's such a small, arbitrary change, but I think it breaks up the costume more. It just makes it more visually interesting, and I love it. I dig it. I really like those black shoulder pads. And of course, they sort of sit freely, which is nice, because then you can actually move them depending on where his arms are. So yeah, if you have it like that, then that looks bad. But you can fix it so easily. So allowing that range of motion gives Wolverine's arms more range of motion. So I ain't mad about that. Then we got to take a look at this head sculpt. All right, I know it's the head sculpt from the 5-pack from Shirtless Wolverine. But what I actually really dig about this, first of all, it's just a really good head sculpt. The actual lines and the cragginess of the face, the expression on there. I love this. I love expressive faces. more comments about that further down the line, I'll tell you. But this one, this is terrific. And you know what? He's not that good looking either. He's a bit of an ugly Wolverine, but he should be. The dude's over 100 years old. He's seen more battles and combat and carnage than anyone could imagine. He's going to wear some of those city miles on his face. So I like that. This is a grizzled Wolverine, not a matinee idol Hugh Jackman Wolverine. This is a guy who has seen some things, and I dig that. Then the other big sort of standout factor about this version of Wolverine is, of course, the heat claws. And look at these heat claws. Some people, some beautifully misguided folks are like, I want a classic Wolverine, but I don't want like heat claws. That's stupid. I want just like adamantium. Don't worry. It's a freaking great. I love these heat claws. First of all, if you just want to kayfabe it in your mind, these aren't heat claws. That's blood, baby. That's blood dripping down the claws. That's exactly what my eyes kind of see. But then again, I actually love the kind of translucent effect going from clear at the tip down to the red. It's so pretty. And I've got him fighting my Sentinel, which is fantastic because you can just assume that his claws have been hit with a laser beam and supercharged and they've just heated up like that, because I don't know what the actual kayfabe backstory was. Wolverine died and then he was brought back to life, and somehow he had claws that heat up. I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me. I didn't read enough to figure it out, and they've dropped it now, so it's neither here nor there. So already this figure is out of date, but it doesn't matter, because one thing that will never change over time is just how good he looks on the shelf. So this dude, I gotta say, I'll sum it up quick, really, really love him. And of course he comes with the masked head as well. Let me just pop that on here so you can take a look at it. It's almost like a proper action figure review, doing head swaps and everything. But it's a little tricky sometimes because it's you might want to heat it up, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to do it now. There we go. That actually worked. And this is great for just a neutral class photo type Wolverine, but that's all it is, and that's a bit of a shame. I would have liked more going on here. I would have enjoyed more of a kind of look on his face, because again, I'm going to have him fighting the Sentinel, and I'd like to have him with the mask on, because the mask looks great, and it looks great in this whole setup here with the rest of the costume, but he just doesn't look interested enough. Having said that though, as far as plain expressions go, it's a perfectly functional, decent, plain expression. And then very quickly, one last little point on articulation, is I was kind of complaining at first because I couldn't get his arm to bend quite up at this angle the way I wanted it. But actually that's because I was trying to bend the joint, the elbow, at both hinges. And that actually restricts the movement because the forearm hits the bicep. What you want to do for a tighter turn is actually keep the top hinge where it is, and just bend the bottom one, and that gets the claw closer to his face. And that's sort of the Wolverine kind of pose that I really like. So it took a little bit of playing around, and this is kind of stuff I probably should have figured out years ago. But hey, I'm a slow learner. But I got there in the end. I found the pose that I wanted, and now that I have, I really like this guy. So gang, I'm going to give this Wolverine a 5.5 out of 10. Yes, I'm trying to do a rating scale now, and that might not sound like very much, but I'm doing my 10-point scale where 5 is boom, bang, right in the middle of average. And this Wolverine, I'll say, slightly above average. He has an extra head, got some nice translucent claws. I'll take it. Maybe that's even quite generous, since the extra head is just reuse, but I don't know, man. I'm just really happy to have a yellow and blue Wolverine in my Sentinel display, which, oh, it just looks so good. So guys, thanks very much for watching. What do you think of the Heat Claws Wolverine? Comment below, let me know. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Coffee. Big time coffee.